In the beginning, the world was a barren land, untouched by time, but one day 4 sisters descended from the sky, each radiating a unique aura that brought life to the earth. They stood together on a hilltop, gazing down at the empty world below. The youngest sister, Spring, stepped forward first. Her laughter was like a melody carried on the breeze, light and joyful. Her hair was a cascade of wildflowers, and her gown shimmered with the colors of fresh grass and new buds. She danced across the barren ground, her touch bringing forth a carpet of green, tiny blossoms pushing through the soil. "I'll go first," she declared, her voice filled with excitement. "Let me show the earth what it feels like to be reborn, to wake up after a long sleep." Spring's personality was warm and loving, like the sun's gentle rays after a cold winter. She was nurturing and joyful, treating every seed like a precious gem. She twirled in the fields, coaxing the first sprouts of life from the earth. Birds sang in harmony with her, and the rivers began to flow, reflecting the bright blue sky. Her sisters watched her, each feeling a mix of admiration and amusement. Summer, with her fiery spirit, smirked and crossed her arms. "Enjoy it while you can, Spring," she teased, "but don't forget, it's my turn next." Spring's smile didn't falter. She spread her arms wide, inviting the world to bloom around her. "I know, Summer," she replied, "but for now it's my time. The earth needs to feel the gentle touch of love before it faces your heat." For months, Spring nurtured the earth, filling the world with vibrant colors and the sweet scent of blossoms. The trees sprouted fresh leaves, and animals emerged from their burrows, blinking in the sunlight. Every corner of the world was alive with growth and the promise of new beginnings. But as the days grew longer, Spring felt the heat of the sun intensifying. She turned to her sisters, giving them a knowing nod. "It's time," she said softly. "I've played my part. The earth is awake now. Summer, it's your turn." Summer grinned, her eyes flashing with mischief. She stepped forward, the air around her crackling with heat and energy. Spring retreated, her role complete, but her spirit lingered in every blossom and blade of grass. "Don't worry," Spring said to the earth as she left. "I'll be back next year. Remember the feeling of new life and hold on to it." And with that, she stepped back, giving way to her fiery sister. Summer's arrival was like a burst of flame sweeping across the land. The air buzzed with energy, and the sky turned a brilliant shade of blue. Summer was wild and untamed, her hair a cascade of golden curls that shone like sunlight. Her gown was woven from rays of the sun, glinting with a fierce intensity. She was the hothead of the family, never one to shy away from trouble. She leapt onto the earth with a playful grin, the ground beneath her feet heating up instantly. The rivers became warm, the fields turned golden with ripe grain, and the sun blazed high in the sky, refusing to set early. "Time to turn up the heat," Summer declared, throwing her arms wide. "Let's see what the earth can really handle." Spring watched from the edge of the forest, a gentle smile on her face. "Be careful, Summer," she called out. "The earth needs warmth, not a wildfire." But Summer just laughed, the sound like the crackling of a bonfire. "Oh, Spring, you're too gentle. The earth needs passion and strength. It needs to feel alive." She ran through the fields, her touch making the grasses sway like waves under a scorching sun. The animals sought shade, hiding from the intensity of the heat, while children played in the rivers, cooling off from the blazing days. The sky held no clouds. It was a time of bright, endless light. Summer's personality was fierce and unapologetic. She was a whirlwind, full of energy and life, but her passion often bordered on recklessness. She brought life in abundance, but her presence could also be overwhelming, scorching the earth if she lingered too long. As the days went on, the plants began to wilt under her relentless sun. The fields, once green and lush, started to turn dry and brittle. Summer frowned, her confidence wavering for the first time. She looked back at her sisters, who watched her with knowing smiles. "You've done well, Summer," said Autumn, stepping forward. Her voice was calm, yet filled with wisdom, as Summer lacked. "But it's time for a change. The earth needs to rest from your intensity." Summer scowled, her fiery spirit reluctant to step aside, but she knew it was true. She took a deep breath, her flames dimming slightly. "Fine," she muttered, "but don't blame me if things get boring without me." Autumn's laugh was soft, like leaves rustling in the wind. "Don't worry, Summer," she said. "I'm here to reveal the truth that you've hidden beneath your heat." Summer stepped back, the sunlight dimming as Autumn took her place. She left behind the warmth and the memories of long, carefree days, her spirit lingering in the golden light of dusk. The earth sighed with relief, ready for the cool, honest embrace of the next sister. Autumn stepped onto the earth with a serene grace, her auburn hair cascading like falling leaves. She wore a gown of deep reds, oranges, and golds, the colors of harvest. Her presence was calm yet powerful, a reminder that all things must come to an end. That truth can't be hidden forever. Autumn was the most introspective of the sisters, shedding light on what had been covered up by spring's growth and summer's heat. She walked through the fields, her touch turning the leaves golden, then red, then brown. The earth needs honesty now, Autumn said softly. No more hiding behind blossoms and sunlight. Autumn was a sister who embraced change, who faced the reality of the cycles of life. She walked through the forest, watching the leaves fall gently to the ground. The trees let go of their leaves willingly, trusting that they will be renewed in time. Why must everything fall away? Summer called out, unwilling to fully leave. Why can't we keep the warmth forever? Autumn turned to her eyes wise and gentle. Because the earth needs rest, Summer. It needs to let go of the old to make way for the new. It's the only way life can continue. She moved through the fields, her steps light but purposeful. The farmers gathered the last of the harvest, grateful for the bounty but preparing for the lean months ahead. Animals gathered food for the winter, their instincts guiding them to store away what they could. Autumn's personality was straightforward and honest. She didn't sugarcoat the truth, she embraced it. Her time was one of reflection and preparation, a moment to acknowledge the year's end and prepare for the long winter ahead. As the last leaves fell and the air turned crisp, Autumn turned to her eldest sister, who stood silently in the distance. Winter was pale and cold, her face expressionless. She watched with a detached calm, waiting for her turn. Autumn gave a sad smile. The earth is ready, Winter, she said. I've shed everything false. It's your time now. Winter stepped forward, her breath a cloud of frost. She nodded once, her face as still as ice. Autumn took a step back, leaving the earth bare but at peace. I'll be back, she whispered to the fallen leaves. Rest now. I've revealed the truth and it's time for silence. And so the world fell silent, awaiting the cold embrace of the final sister. Winter stepped forward, her arrival like the closing of a curtain on a grand performance. Her hair was silver white, cascading like snowflakes, and her gown shimmered with frost, glittering under the pale sunlight. Her expression was serene, emotionless, a stark contrast to the warmth and vibrancy of her younger sisters. Winter was the eldest, the one who carried the weight of wisdom, knowing that silence and stillness were just as vital as growth and warmth. The earth grew still as she spread her hands, a chill breeze sweeping across the landscape. The fields, once filled with golden grain, were now blanketed in snow. The rivers, which had babbled happily under the spring's touch, froze into silence. It was as if the world had taken a deep breath and it was holding it, waiting. I bring rest, Winter said softly, her voice like the whisper of snow falling on a quiet night. The earth has worked hard under the care of my sisters. Now it's time to heal, to gather its strength. Her sisters watched from the edge of the forest. Spring hugged herself, shivering slightly. Must you always be so cold, Winter? She asked, her voice tinged with sadness. Winter turned, her gaze gentle but distant. It's not cruelty, Spring, she replied. It's necessity. Without my stillness, your flowers will never bloom again. The earth needs my stillness to prepare for your song. Summer scoffed, her fiery spirit still lingering. You're all ice, no heart, she muttered. How can you stand to see everything wither away under your touch? Winter's face softened, a rare crack in her icy demeanor. It's not death I bring, she said quietly. It's rest. It's reflection. Without my cold, the earth would be exhausted. I give it time to breathe. Autumn nodded, her emotions subdued. You strip away everything false, Winter, she said. You leave only the bare truth. Winter walked across the frozen ground, her footsteps leaving no trace. The animals huddled in their barrels. The trees stood bare and stark against the gray sky, yet there was a beauty in the stillness, a quiet peace that only winter could bring. She knelt by a frozen pond, her breath frosting the surface as she whispered to the water beneath the ice. Sleep now, she murmured. You are safe in my care. When you wake, it'll be spring's time again. Winter stood and faced her sisters, who watched her with a mix of awe and unease. I brought the earth to rest, she said, but the cycle isn't complete without all of us. It's time we remembered why we do this. Spring stepped forward, her eyes shining with unshed tears. Together, she whispered, that's how we bring harmony. Alone we bring chaos, but together we give the earth everything it needs. Winter's cold, distant expression softened into a smile, small but genuine. Yes, she agreed, we each play our part. And now, my time is ending. The sisters gathered on the hilltop once more, the place where it all began. The snow under their feet began to melt, tiny shoots of green poking through the frost. Spring's touch brought a warmth that rippled across the earth, a promise of life returning. The four of them stood together, each distinct, yet connected by an invisible thread. They looked out over the land, watching as the first signs of new growth began to appear. "It's time for my return," Spring said, her voice filled with joy and anticipation. "The earth is ready to wake up." Summer rolled their eyes, but her smile was fond. "You always bring the flowers and rainbow, Spring. Just remember, I'll be back soon with the sun." Autumn chuckled, her voice like leaves rustling in the wind. "And I'll follow, bringing the truth with me. We all have our place, our own time." Winter nodded, stepping back into the shadows. "And I'll be here when it's needed," she said softly. "I don't mind being the one who's forgotten for a while. It's enough to know I've given the earth what it needs." Spring moved forward, her fingers brushing the frozen ground. Everywhere she touched, new life began to bloom. Tiny flowers unfurling, leaves budding on the trees. The sun broke through the clouds, casting a golden light over the land. The sisters linked hands, feeling the earth respond beneath their feet. It was a pulse, a rhythm that matched their own hearts, the heartbeat of the world they had nurtured together. "We fought once," Summer said, her eyes meeting each of her sisters in turn. "We each wanted the earth for ourselves, to shape it in our image forever. But we learned," Autumn added, her gaze thoughtful. "We realized the earth needs all of us. It needs Spring's renewal, Summer's passion, my honesty, and Winter's rest." Winter's smile was small but full of pride. "And so we chose harmony over rivalry. We decided to take turns giving the earth the balance it deserves." Spring laughed, her voice like the song of birds at dawn. "And now the cycle begins again. We'll continue to care for the earth, season after season, year after year." They stood together, feeling the energy of the world they had created and sustained. It was a reminder of their bond, of the unspoken love that tied them together, despite their differences. As the sun rose higher in the sky, Winter let go of her sister's hands, fading into the background. The chill in the air vanished, replaced by the warmth of Spring's embrace. The world came alive once more, the cycle complete. The four sisters looked at each other one last time, each understanding her place, her role. "Until next time," Winter whispered, her voice carried away by the wind. And with that, the sisters parted ways, knowing they would always return, always come together to give the earth what it needed most, a balanced heart, guided by the hands of the seasons.